telephone rang at 11. I almost let it ring. Then I heard your voice say my name and forgot about everything. You said, I know it's late, I know I shouldn't call, but tomorrow changes everything, and I needed you tonight. I asked you if you're happy. You waited just a while and said, I think I will be, but I needed one last memory. Was this the call before tomorrow? The words we never dared to say, the little piece of yesterday we couldn't simply throw away. You don't have to come and find me. I don't need you to change your plans. I only needed one more moment to hear you say you understand. Was this the call before tomorrow? The last night you belonged to me. You said you still remember that apartment by the train, the record that kept skipping when we danced beneath the rain. I said I kept your letter, the one you never sent. You laughed and said, I wrote it twice. I said, I wish you did. There were years inside that silence. There were things we couldn't mend, but tonight we weren't the lovers. We were simply us again. Was this the call before tomorrow? The words we never dared to say, the little piece of yesterday we couldn't simply throw away. You don't have to come and find me. I don't need you to change your plans. I only needed one more moment to hear you say you understand. Was this the call before tomorrow? The last night you belonged to me. You said, I'm sorry for the leaving. I said, I'm sorry for the pride. You said, I loved you more than I could tell you. I said, I know. I just needed time to hear it, and neither one of us spoke for what felt like an hour. Sometimes silence says goodbye more gently than words. So this is the call before tomorrow, and tomorrow has to come. You have a life waiting for you, and I have finally begun. I won't ask you for another chance. I won't make you turn around. I'll keep the love we had without keeping you back. So this is the call before tomorrow, the last page of the story we knew. And if she makes you happy, then I will be happy too, because loving you was never wasted, even when it broke my heart. Some people stay forever. Some people teach us how to start. The call before tomorrow. I'll remember what you said, and when the morning finds you, I hope you wake up loved. Good night. before you said goodbye. You stopped leaving coffee by the bed. You stopped looking in my eyes. You said you needed space. You said the love had changed, but I knew the man who held me, and I knew that wasn't true. Then I found the letter hidden underneath the drawer, and suddenly your silence was something I couldn't forgive. Don't leave me before you have to. Don't turn our love into a lie. If we only have tomorrow, then let tomorrow find us side by side. I don't need you to protect me from the tears that may come. I'd rather have every second than lose you while you're still here. Don't leave me before you have to. Stay until the last song ends. You finally told me everything with your eyes upon the floor. You said I wanted you to hate me so you wouldn't hurt anymore. I took your face between my hands and said you don't get to choose which memories I keep or how much of you I lose. So we drove until the morning with the windows open wide. You laughed when I sang badly, and I cried where you couldn't see. Don't leave me before you have to. Don't turn our love into a lie. If we only have tomorrow, then let tomorrow find us side by side. I don't need you to protect me from the tears that may come. I'd rather have every second than lose you while you're still here. Don't leave me before you have to. Stay until the last song ends. We stopped counting the months. We stopped asking how long. We measured life in little things: a sunrise, a cup, a song. You danced with me in the kitchen, though your body was growing tired, and I held you like the first night. like I promised on that day. Don't leave me before you have to. Stay until the last song ends. The room is getting quiet. Your hand is still in mine. And somewhere in the silence, our favorite song keeps playing. We sat across the kitchen and talked about the bills. You asked me what was for dinner. I said, anything you will. You kissed me in the hallway like something you had learned. And I suddenly wondered, when did we stop being us? Then every light went black, the television disappeared, and for the first time in a long time, I could finally hear you breathe. Start with me again, not the woman you remember, not the man I used to know. Let's forget the roads we learned and find the hearts beneath them. Start with me again. Don't promise me forever. Don't tell me nothing's wrong. Just sit beside me in the dark and let us find where we went wrong. Start with me again, if you still want me. You lit a candle on the table. I laughed at how it looked, like every photograph we'd taken before we became so tired. You said, I miss your laughter. I said, I miss your eyes. You said, I thought you stopped loving me. I said, I thought you did. Funny how two lonely people can sleep beneath one sheet and spend 1,000 nights afraid to say they need each other. Start with me Maybe back is what broke us. And say the things we never said. Start with me again, not yesterday, not tomorrow, just tonight. The power came back on. Neither of us moved. We turned the lights back off and stayed there. Found you in a cardboard box behind the winter clothes. A little silver cassette with your handwriting across the side. I almost threw it back inside. I almost let it sleep. But I heard your voice before I pressed the button underneath. You said, "Hey, it's me," like you were calling from downstairs. And suddenly the years between us were nowhere in the room. You left your voice behind on a little piece of plastic, and now it finds me when the whole world goes quiet. You said you loved my singing even when I sang off key. You said don't stop being happy just because I'm not there to see. You left your voice behind, and somehow you still found me. You talked about our first apartment, the window that wouldn't close. You laughed about the rainy night I wore your old blue coat. You said you loved the way I danced when nobody was around. Then you coughed and changed the subject like you always used to do. I stopped the tape for a minute because the room began to spin. Then I heard you say my name again and press the button once more. You left your voice behind on a little piece of plastic, and now it finds me when the whole world goes quiet. You said you loved my singing even when I sang off key. You said don't stop being happy just because I'm not there to see. You left your voice behind, and somehow carrying the grief. You left your voice behind, but you didn't leave me broken. You gave me something I could hear when I was lonely. You said, open up the curtains, let the morning fill the room. There's a whole world waiting for you, and I'd want you to see it too. You left your voice behind, and now I know what it means. You left your voice behind, not a promise, not a warning, just a little piece of yesterday that led me back to morning. So I'll put on that red dress and I'll sing the way I please. And when the song gets beautiful, I'll pretend you're dancing with me. You left your voice behind, and I finally let you go. The tape keeps turning, but this time I don't rewind it. I open the curtains and let the morning in. You were standing by the flowers when I saw you across the room. You looked older than the memory, but your smile still filled the room. Our daughter walked beside you in a dress of ivory white, and for a second I was 20, standing next to you that night. We didn't say much, we didn't have to. Some memories speak alone. We made something beautiful, even if we couldn't make forever. We made a little life from nothing, and somehow she grew better than the dreams we used to chase, than the promises we couldn't keep. Maybe love can leave a different kind of treasure when it doesn't stay. We made something beautiful, and tonight I can finally see. I remember our first apartment with the broken kitchen sink. You worked nights, I worked mornings. We were too tired to even think. We fought about the money, we fought about the years. We thought if love was strong enough, it shouldn't come with tears. We were young and proud, we didn't know how to hold something fragile without breaking it. We made something beautiful, even if we couldn't make forever. We made a little life from nothing, and somehow she grew better than the dreams we used to chase, than the promises we couldn't keep. Maybe love can leave a different kind of treasure when it doesn't stay. We made something beautiful, and tonight I can find melodies dancing. You held out your hand, I took it for one song, and we stepped aside and let the young ones have the floor. You never liked the ocean, you wouldn't tell me why. You'd sit beside the shoreline and watch the waves go by. I learned not to ask you, I learned to let you be. Some wounds don't need a question to deserve some sympathy. So every summer morning we'd bring coffee to the sand. You'd keep your shoes beside you, I'd quietly hold your hand. I never asked you to be fearless, I never asked you to die. I only wanted you beside me while the tide came in and out of our lives. You didn't have to conquer the water, you didn't have to prove a thing. I loved you on the shoreline, I loved you where you could breathe. We watched 100 sunsets and counted passing boats. You told me all your secrets except the one you feared the most. Then one September morning, the beach was almost bare. You stood beside the water and I saw something change there. You took off both your shoes and placed them next to mine, then reached out for my fingers like you'd already made up your mind. I never asked you to be fearless, I never asked you to die. I only wanted you beside me while the tide came in and out of our lives. You didn't have to conquer the water, you didn't have to prove a thing. I loved you on the shoreline, I loved you where you could breathe. You said I'm still afraid, I said then we can turn around. You smiled and took one more step until the water touched the ground. You weren't fighting the ocean, you weren't trying to forget. You were giving tomorrow a chance to be different yet. I never asked you to be fearless, but now you're standing here with me. The water reaches both our knees and you are finally free. Not because the fear is vanished, not because the past is gone, but because you stopped letting yesterday decide where you belong. So take your time, my darling, we don't have to go too far. The sea is only water, and you're more than what you survived. For the first time, the water didn't take you away. You had a suitcase by the doorway. I had your picture in my hand. Neither one of us was angry. Neither one could make a stand. You said the city called your name. I said the road was calling mine. We laughed about the cruelest joke, two hearts arriving out of time. And I wanted you to stay, but I loved you enough to know sometimes holding on too tightly is the fastest way to let go. So when we chose goodbye, did we save the love or lose it? When we chose goodbye, was there another way to choose it? You were the dream I couldn't follow. I was the life you couldn't live. And somewhere underneath the leaving, we were still learning how to give. I remember your last morning, coffee cooling on the sill. You were smiling through your sadness, like a photograph standing still. You touched my face and said, be happy, as if happiness were easy. Then you walked into the sunlight and the room became too empty. I could have asked you not to go. You could have asked me to remain, but love was never meant to be a beautiful and gilded cage. So when we chose goodbye, did we save the love or lose it? When we chose goodbye, was there another way to choose it? You were the dream I couldn't follow. I was the life you couldn't live. And somewhere underneath the leaving, we were still learning how to give. Years have turned the streets to strangers, and the seasons changed their clothes. I have loved and I have wondered, but there's one thing no one knows. If I heard your voice tomorrow, would my heart still know the sound? Would I run into your arms, or just remember turning around? So when we chose goodbye, maybe love was not defeated. Maybe some beautiful beginnings are complete before they're finished. You were the dream I couldn't follow. I was the life you couldn't live. And somewhere underneath the leaving, we were still learning how to give. If I could choose that night again, I wouldn't change If you ever think of me, I hope you remember we didn't stop loving, we just stopped together. You don't have to say forever, you don't have to make a vow. I can read it in your eyes every time you look at me now. There's a world outside our window, running faster than before, but you pull me a little closer, and I don't hear it anymore. Maybe love is not a thunder, maybe love is not a flame. Maybe it's the hand that finds you and reaches out the same. It's the way you stay when the beautiful gets ordinary. It's the way you stay when the night is long and we're both weary. You don't promise me the stars, you just hold me where you are. And somehow that's more than any dream could ever say. I fall in love with you in the way you stay. We have danced beneath the neon, we have kissed beside the rain. We've been reckless with our laughter, we've been quiet through the pain. And I know your little habits, every scar beneath your sleeve. Still you find 1,000 ways to make this heart believe. Maybe passion isn't lightning striking once and disappearing. Maybe it's a steady rhythm that gets sweeter through the years. It's the way you stay when the beautiful gets ordinary. It's the way you stay when the night is long and we're both weary. You don't promise me the stars, you just hold me where you are. You left before the morning with your coat against the rain. I watched the taillights disappear like they were taking summer away. There was one thing on the table written underneath your name. Don't let the years decide for us what the distance couldn't change. We never said forever. We were too young for words that grand. But you pressed your hand into mine like you already understood. There's a promise between us that the years can't take away. A little piece of forever hidden in the words we never say. If the road should bring you back, I'll know you by the way. You look at me like no time passed, and the promise still remains. I learned to live without you. I learned the shape of other days. I danced beneath different city lights. I heard 1,000 different names. But sometimes when the radio finds that old familiar tune, I close my eyes and for a moment I'm standing there with you. No, I never stopped my life. I never waited by the door. But some rooms inside the heart don't belong to anyone else. There's a promise between us that the years can't take away. A little piece of forever hidden in the words we never say. If the road should bring you back, I'll know you by the way. You look at me like no time passed, and the promise still remains. And if you come back older with a different kind of smile, I'll recognize the lonely that once looked into mine. You don't have to say you miss me. You don't have to explain. Just tell me what you told me that last night before the rain. Some things are worth finding twice. There's a promise between us, and I feel it tonight. Not a chain around tomorrow, not a reason to stop my life. But if fate should turn the corner and place you in my way, I'll know you by the little things that time could never take away. Still alive beneath the years, not a photograph or memory, but something I can feel. And if you reach for my hand like you did that final day, I won't ask where you've been. I won't ask why you stayed away. I'll simply look into your eyes and let the silence say the love we thought we'd lost was only learning how to wait. Some things are You said we'd leave in summer when the company slowed down. You said we'd find an apartment on the quieter side of town. You said we'd take that holiday, the one we talked about for years. I kept believing someday was another word for near. I didn't need a diamond, I didn't need a perfect life. I only needed one small promise that didn't come with a later time. You kept saving tomorrow, like tomorrow couldn't end. You kept putting love on layaway for some better time ahead. You said, when the world gets easier, I'll give you everything. But I didn't need your everything. I needed you beside me. The birthdays came and vanished, the seasons changed their clothes. You bought another suit for work, I bought another winter coat. We had a drawer of brochures from places we would go, but every dream had one condition: not yet, not now, not so. One night I stopped believing, not because your love was gone, but because I finally understood. A waiting heart grows tired of waiting on. You kept saving tomorrow, like tomorrow couldn't end. You kept putting love on layaway for some better time ahead. You said, when the world gets easier, I'll give you everything. But I didn't need your everything. I needed you beside me. Years later you came smiling with the keys to a brand new home. You said, I finally made it, now we can have the life we dream. I looked at you so gently and wished I'd met you there, but the woman who waited for you wasn't living anywhere. You kept saving tomorrow till tomorrow passed us by. You built the house we talked about, but I had learned to build my life. You finally had the money, you finally had the time, but love doesn't wait forever for a calendar to turn right. I hope you find somebody who can love you where you stand. Don't make her earn your future by waiting for your plans. And if you ever miss keep waiting on. You kept saving tomorrow. I kept giving you today, until I had no today left to give. You were lying by the window with a number on your wrist. I knew you before the nurses came. I knew you before all this. You looked at me and smiled politely, like we'd never shared a room, like I'd never fallen asleep with my head against your shoulder. Your mother's name. You remembered every little scar, but somehow forgot my face. You remembered everything but me, every road and every year, every song we used to dance to, every place we disappeared. You remembered became a missing scene. You asked me if we'd met before. I said maybe once or twice. I watched you search my eyes for a woman you couldn't find. I could have told you about Paris, about the summer by the sea, about the night you said forever, like forever belonged to me. But what good would those memories do if they only lived in mine? I couldn't make you love a stranger just because you once called her mine. You remembered everything but me, every road and every year, every song, every place we disappeared. You remembered how you hated rain. You remembered how you dreamed. But somewhere in the story of your life, I became a missing scene. On a summer street, the sunlight on their backs. You stared at it for a moment, then you looked into my eyes. You said, she seems familiar. I said, she was once my life. You asked me if she loved you. I smiled and looked away. I said more than she knew how to say. You remembered everything but me, and maybe that's alright. Some loves are built to last forever, some are built to change your life. I remember when we started, with a pocket full of dreams, a second-hand car, 2 cups of coffee, and a future in between. We were young enough to promise we could conquer everything. Then the rent came due in winter, and reality learned to sing. We didn't have the perfect story, we just had enough to try. And every time the world got heavy, you were standing by my side. You are where my heart comes home, after every road I've taken, after every door I've opened, every dream I've almost shaken. When the whole world turns to noise, you're the quiet I still know. I spent half my life searching for the place my heart calls home. And somehow it was you all along. We've had nights we couldn't sleep, with the numbers on the table. We've had words we wish we'd swallowed, and apologies when able. There were years we barely noticed, passing underneath our feet, but you still reach across the darkness and somehow find my hand in sleep. We don't look like we did at 20, and I'm grateful that we don't, because beauty isn't staying young, it's knowing what you won't let go. You are where my heart comes home, after every road I've taken, after every door I've opened, every dream I've almost shaken. When the whole world turns to noise, you're the quiet I still know. I spent half my life searching for the place my heart calls home. And somehow it was you all along. If tomorrow takes our youth, let it take it, I don't mind. I've already seen the sweetest thing time can never leave behind. It's the way you look at me, after all these years have passed, like the girl you fell in love with is still somewhere in the glass. You are where my heart comes home, not because the road was easy, but because you stayed beside me when the road was anything but easy. Through the seasons, through the years, through the laughter and the tears, I would choose you in a lifetime, I would choose you again. You are where my heart comes home, when the lights go out around me, when the years have changed our faces, and the world forgets about me. Let the future take its time, let tomorrow draw its line. I've got everything I need when your hand is holding mine. I spent half my life searching for the place my heart calls home. And somehow it was you all along. comes home. Package came on Tuesday with a name I knew too well. No letter, only silence, and a story I could tell. There was a little certificate inside a faded sleeve, a number and a distant place above the world I'd never seen. I thought you'd thrown away the years we couldn't make survive. I never knew you kept a piece of us somewhere that was still alive. You left my name above the world when no one could erase it. You couldn't keep me in your arms, so you gave small apartment, and the winter we were poor. You'd count the coins beside the kettle while I dreamed of something more. You said you deserve a better life than the one that I can give. I said, don't make that choice for me. You said, I have to let you live. I hated you for leaving. I hated how you made it sound like love was just another burden you had to put down. You left my name above the world when no one could erase it. You couldn't keep me in your arms, so you gave my name a place in space. And all these years I thought you left with nothing but goodbye, but somewhere far beyond our lives, you kept me in the future. You only had to stay. And know what I was loved for. Somewhere there is a little star carrying the name you chose. And though I built another life, I'm glad that somebody knows. We were young, we were imperfect, we were more than we could hold. And you left my name above the world before you let me go. I never knew you left me a place where goodbye could never reach. The dress was hanging by the window, my suitcase by the stairs. My mother called from downstairs to ask if I was there. I was staring at my wedding ring, trying to calm my hands, when the telephone began to ring like it had other plans. I almost let it ring away, then something made me stay. I heard your voice after all these years, and suddenly I was 28. You called before I said I do, and I thought you'd ask me not to, but you only said, I hope you're happy, and I hope he knows what I once knew. You said our love had made you better. You said you finally understood. Some people leave before the ending, so someone else can love you good. I asked you how your life was. You said it's finally mine. You told me you had learned to listen before you'd cross the line. You said you met somebody who made you wanna stay, and I could hear the smile inside your voice when you said her name. I laughed and started crying for a girl I used to be, the one who thought that losing you meant losing part of me. You called before I said I do, and I thought you'd ask me not to, but you only said, I hope you're happy, and I hope he knows what I once knew. You said our love had made you better. You said you finally understood. Some people leave before the ending, so someone else can love you good. I told you once I wondered if I'd made the wrong choice. You said maybe we were right together, just not for all our lives. Then there was silence on the telephone, the kind that doesn't hurt. You said, go downstairs, he's waiting, and I knew you meant it. without being ashamed of losing you. So thank you for the years we had. Thank you for what they made. Thank you for the woman I became after our love changed shape. The old dream can stay beautiful without becoming true. And tonight I get to say I do, with a heart that's finally free. Because I loved you once, and I love who I'm becoming too. The call before I said I do. You didn't ask me to come back. You just helped me walk forward. I almost missed the evening train. The platform smelled like rain. Then I heard somebody say my name, and everything changed. You looked a little older. Your hair had turned a shade of gray, but those eyes were still the same ones that stole my breath away. For one impossible second, I was 17 again, holding summer in my hands before we knew how summer ends. We were the last train we shared, two young hearts going somewhere. You said we'd never lose each other. I believed you without a care. But life took different tracks and never brought us back. Still, when I saw you standing there, I knew I'd loved you everywhere. We were the last train we shared. You asked me if I'm happy. I smiled and said I am. You told me about your children. I told you about my plans. There was no bitter silence, no question left to blame. Just two people meeting memories that still remembered our names. And I wanted to ask you if you ever wanted to, but some questions are more beautiful when they never reach the truth. We were the last train we shared, two young hearts going somewhere. You said we'd never lose each other. I believed you without a care. But life took different tracks and never brought us back. Still, when I saw you standing there, I knew I'd loved you everywhere. We were the last train we shared. Maybe we were never meant to be the ending of the story. Maybe first love has its own way of becoming something holy. and smiled at me. I watched the red lights disappear, but this time I didn't cry. Somewhere between goodbye and then, we both learned how to say goodbye. The last train we shared was enough. Was enough.